The icy winds of the north roared across the frozen sea, and upon the edge of a towering cliff stood a man who refused to fear the unknown. His name was Ragnar Lothbrok. While other Vikings feared the endless waters west of Scandinavia, Ragnar believed something greater waited beyond the horizon. Not monsters, not death, but destiny itself. He was not born a king. He was not raised in luxury. He was not chosen by powerful rulers. He was a farmer, a simple man with dirt beneath his fingernails and fire burning inside his soul. But some men are born for ordinary lives, and others are born to become legends. And Ragnar Lothbrok was destined to change the world forever. If you enjoy Viking legends, Norse mythology, cinematic storytelling, brutal medieval battles, and epic adventures, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more legendary tales. In the rugged lands of Scandinavia, life was cruel and unforgiving. Winters lasted for months. The seas were merciless. Only the strong survived. The Vikings lived by the sword. They worshipped gods of war and thunder. They believed that only warriors who died bravely in battle could enter Valhalla, the great hall of Odin. From childhood, Ragnar listened to stories of legendary warriors and distant lands filled with gold and glory. But there was one thing that separated Ragnar from the others: curiosity. While most Vikings feared sailing too far west, Ragnar became obsessed with the unknown. He spent nights staring at the horizon, wondering what existed beyond the endless sea. The old chieftains mocked him. The Western Ocean is cursed, they warned. Only death waits there. But Ragnar refused to believe them. He believed the gods had placed something beyond those waters, and he intended to find it. Among the people of the village was Ragnar's closest friend, the brilliant and eccentric shipbuilder Floki. Floki was unlike anyone else. Strange, wild, brilliant. Together, Ragnar and Floki secretly designed a new kind of Viking longship. It was lighter, faster, and stronger than any vessel the North had ever seen. While others laughed at their dream, Ragnar prepared for the impossible. Then came the night that changed history. Dark storm clouds swallowed the sky as Ragnar gathered a small crew of loyal warriors. Quietly, they pushed the ship into the icy water and sailed west into the unknown. The sea became their enemy. Massive waves crashed against the ship like mountains. Freezing winds tore through the sails. Thunder exploded overhead as lightning lit the black ocean. Some men begged to turn back. Others prayed desperately to Odin and Thor for survival. But Ragnar stood firm at the front of the ship, staring into the storm with fearless eyes. For days they sailed through darkness and terror. Then, one morning, the fog slowly parted. Land appeared on the horizon. Green fields, forests, villages. England. The Vikings had discovered a world no one believed existed. Ragnar and his warriors landed silently upon the shores. The Saxons had never seen men like them before. Tall warriors with axes and shields. Men dressed in fur and iron. Men who moved like wolves. The Vikings attacked swiftly. Saxon guards rushed to defend their monastery, but Ragnar's warriors overwhelmed them with terrifying speed and brutality. The sound of steel echoed through the air. Flames consumed wooden buildings. Gold and silver filled Viking hands. For the first time, Ragnar tasted victory beyond imagination. And when he returned home, everything changed. The same men who once mocked him now celebrated him. Songs were sung in the great halls of Scandinavia about the fearless explorer who crossed the forbidden sea. But success created enemies. The powerful Earl Haraldsson grew jealous of Ragnar's fame. Haraldsson ruled the region with fear and cruelty, and he saw Ragnar as a threat to his power. Tension between them grew stronger with every passing day. Ragnar knew the truth. If he wanted freedom, if he wanted to lead, Haraldsson had to fall. The challenge finally came beneath a sky filled with cold northern rain. Villagers gathered in silence as Ragnar faced Haraldsson in single combat. Steel clashed violently. Haraldsson fought with rage and experience. Ragnar fought with speed, intelligence, and determination. Mud mixed with blood beneath their feet. The battle seemed endless. Then suddenly, Ragnar struck. His blade pierced Haraldsson, and the cruel earl collapsed into the mud. Silence filled the air. Ragnar Lothbrok had become the new earl. But power only fueled his ambition further. Year after year, Ragnar launched daring raids across England and France. Thank you for watching this far. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment for more Viking legends and epic stories from the age of warriors and gods. Monasteries trembled at the sight of Viking sails. Kings feared Ragnar's name. Villages burned across the coastline as Ragnar's warriors grew richer and more powerful. But Ragnar was not simply a savage warrior. He was intelligent. He studied his enemies carefully. He learned their language, their tactics, and their weaknesses. While many Vikings relied only on strength, Ragnar used strategy. And that made him far more dangerous. His fame eventually reached the mighty city of Paris. Protected by enormous walls and defended by powerful Frankish armies, Paris seemed impossible to conquer. But Ragnar loved impossible challenges. The Vikings launched attack after attack against the city, yet the walls remained strong. Many warriors would have surrendered. Ragnar did not. Instead, he created one of the most daring plans in Viking history. Pretending to be near death, Ragnar ordered his men to tell the Franks that he wished to be baptized before dying. The Franks agreed to allow his body into the city for a Christian burial. Inside a wooden coffin, Ragnar was carried through the gates of Paris. The people believed the feared Viking leader was dead, but the moment the coffin reached the cathedral, it burst open. Ragnar leaped out with sword in hand. At the same time, hidden Vikings attacked from inside the city while warriors outside stormed the gates. Chaos exploded across Paris. Screams filled the streets. Bells rang wildly. Frankish soldiers rushed in confusion. Once again, Ragnar had achieved the impossible. His legend spread across Europe like wildfire. To some, he was a hero. To others, a monster sent by the gods. But time spares no man. As Ragnar grew older, the burden of leadership became heavier. Betrayal surrounded him. Friends died. Battles scarred both his body and soul. Still, he could not stop chasing greatness. Then came his final voyage. Ragnar sailed once more toward England, hoping to reclaim his glory. But fate had changed. Violent storms shattered his fleet. Ships were destroyed by merciless waves. Many warriors drowned beneath the dark sea. Ragnar survived, but only barely. Soon after reaching shore, he was captured by King Egil of Northumbria, a ruler who hated the Vikings more than anything. Bound in chains, Ragnar was dragged before the king. Yet even as a prisoner, Ragnar showed no fear. King Egil wanted revenge for the destruction Ragnar had brought upon England. And so he ordered a horrifying execution. A pit filled with venomous snakes was prepared. The great Viking would die slowly in darkness. As Ragnar stood before the pit, soldiers expected him to beg for mercy. He did not. Instead, Ragnar smiled. He looked toward the sky and spoke proudly. How the little pigs would grunt if they knew how the old boar suffers. Then he laughed. I do not fear death, for I shall feast in Valhalla. The snakes struck, and Ragnar Lothbrok died, but legends do not end with death. When news of Ragnar's execution spread across the north, his sons were consumed by fury. Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, Ub, and Hvitserk. Together, they gathered one of the greatest Viking armies ever seen. The Great Heathen Army. Thousands of warriors sailed toward England seeking vengeance. Kingdoms burned beneath their fury. Cities fell, and King Egil finally faced the wrath of Ragnar's sons. Though Ragnar was gone, his legacy had become unstoppable. Centuries later, stories of Ragnar Lothbrok still echo across the world. The fearless Viking who dared to sail beyond the edge of the known world. The farmer who became a conqueror. The dreamer who became a king. The warrior who became immortal. The exploits of Ragnar Lothbrok. For more Viking stories, do not forget to subscribe, like,